Hello and welcome to today's Google Hangout. My name is Zelaya, and we've got a very special guest that is always welcome here with us, and her name is Patrice Cokley. We actually hung out almost a couple of months ago, it seems like, and Patrice was doing quite a bit at that time with her entrepreneur endeavors and consulting and speaking. And since that hangout, I feel like she's just blowing up. She's been doing even bigger and better things. She's been doing her own Google Hangouts, more speaking engagements, more consulting, more training, and she is definitely a person that you need to be following on Twitter if you're not doing so already. So Patrice, welcome back. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much. I had so much fun on the last chat that we had, so I had to come back. I couldn't turn you down.
Well, thank you, and I'm excited to have you back because I've seen your progress. I've seen a lot of the stuff that you talked about on our last hangout. You've been implementing not just for clients but for yourself and growing. And just tell me, give me share some of that light of what have you been doing in your own business and your own projects.
Yeah, well, I've definitely been focusing more on building my awareness because they always say that you never stop marketing. Marketing is something that you always do. So even when I work with clients, you have to focus on, you still have to make that time to focus on your own marketing. So I've been on Twitter a lot. I've been on other Google Hangouts, networking, going to different events, just putting the word out that PKC is here to help, and so is a Baseline Group. We're both here to help. So yeah, it's just making sure that I stay on people's minds at all times, so that when they're ready, that they'll know to call me.
Yeah, I think that's a great, a very aggressive, but not in your kind of
right,
salesy type of way. Just aggressive with building awareness and letting people know. I think that you're there to help, and that's like the biggest thing that you could do. So whenever they do require help, you're the first person that they think of. You're top of mind, and if that requires constant activity to be in that category. And it's something. It's funny because as you get clients, and you're probably maybe at that point already where you have so much work to do, client work to do, that you forget to work on your own self, on your own brand, on your own business marketing. And you can never fall into that trap. I think of it as, would you work out with a fat personal trainer?
Exactly.
That's or a broke financial advisor. Yeah, it's you're probably not going to take them very seriously. So, right. Make sure that you always, how do you balance everything? That's always a question that comes up.
Google Calendar for one. Everything I schedule it. Even going to work out, I make sure I got to put that in my schedule. And I arrange my days around what is important, what takes, precedence over everything else. So down to the workout, down to when I want to go out and have fun and enjoy. It's kind of strict and rigid, but I get a lot more accomplished. And I think that's what's really important as I, continue to build the consultancy, is that, you have to have certain guidelines for yourself, a certain schedule. And, so far so good. It's been working. I haven't had a day where I'm like burnt out or anything like that. And if I do, I'll try to read a book. One of the writing projects that I do requires me to read a book and write a book review. So, that soothes me. And even sometimes that can be stressful. Reading a business book, I have to lighten the load a little bit, so I'll read something funny or goofy. But other than that, Google Calendar, shout out to them because they definitely helped me out tremendously when it comes to that.
Yes. So a calendar, definitely keeps you on pace. And like you said, you got to build a little bit of flexibility in there.
Right.
I think for me, one of the things I struggle with is also adding family time in there, making sure I schedule that, because you can be really successful in business, but if you don't have that success, the same success in your family, then what's the point? Why are you working so hard?
Exactly. That's so important, especially to those like yourself with little kids. That's really important to be present and be there in the beginning. I don't have children myself for that reason because I'm doing too much, so I kind of enjoy your post and I enjoy, other families and whatnot, but I'm like, I can't do it right now, not right now. But yeah, you definitely have to carve out that time. So I think you're doing an excellent job from what I see on my end. Yeah.
And something that, just like having a baby, a lot of small business owners treat their business like a baby, right? It requires constant attention. You have to juggle that with everything else that you're doing. A lot of small business owners are doing multiple functions, right? So they're the marketing team, they're the PR person, they're the accounting person,
salesperson.
Yeah, everything, and they wear multiple hats.
The graphic designer, sometimes a web designer. Yeah.
The front desk lady, we could go on. And I know you consult a lot of small business owners. What are some of the trends that you're seeing in the small business world when it comes specifically to marketing and building and developing their business?
Well, what I'm seeing is that a lot of people are not focusing on their ideal client. I would say that would be the number one thing that I'm noticing people are lacking on. It's kind of like you get tunnel vision to where they're just focused on their product, their service, and getting it out to the masses. That shouldn't be that's not the correct way to market. And a lot of people get burnt out. They get frustrated because no one's liking their post, or no one's friending them on Facebook or anything like that. They're not getting emails or whatnot. No one's contacting them, so they get frustrated. And I'm noticing that what they fail is that they're not focusing on that one particular person or that category of people that they're catering to. So I think that's the most common trend that I'm seeing, that and budget. Those two, and that's it. That's really the two top.
And to talk about the first one, I know that's a struggle. Even bigger companies still struggle with that, building the buyer personas that we call them, right? So,
exactly. Yeah.
And some of the solutions to that is, look at your current customer base and figure out, who are the people that are buying from you already. And that sometimes is a good baseline to go from.
Yeah.
What are some of the other tips and advice that you would give small business owners that are trying to figure out who their target is?
In addition to what you stated there, to pretty much just to piggyback off of that, to not only look at who they're currently working with, but to also look at who they enjoy working with. It's like, for me, for example, when I first started out with, it was PKC marketing, and sometimes I still use that. I focused on anyone. I didn't care. It could be, entrepreneur. It could be a clothing company, a music company, an artist, another social media person. It didn't matter. And I got frustrated really, really fast. And I noticed that, okay, I had to pull myself back, and I had to look at everyone that I've worked with, and I took a look at which ones that I enjoy working with, those that I didn't enjoy working with, and I looked at why. And that's when I started the Baseline group, where I'm focusing strictly on entertainers and creatives, because that whole industry in the arts just excite me. I mean, I have a background in the arts, so it made sense to, like, okay, stop focusing on everyone just to get a quick buck and really narrow in on that particular industry. So that, I would say, look at that first, and then also understanding, what you're good at, what you're weak at as well. I mean, we called it, a SWOT analysis in school and whatnot. So it's the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats for those that don't know. But as an entrepreneur, we have to look at that for within ourselves as well. We have to look at what we're strong at. What's our strong points? What are we weak at? So if we're not doing well in those areas, we know to bring people on. And then also the opportunities. What opportunities are out there that I'm overlooking? I could be, partnering with you, or partnering with, a graphic designer that may need someone to consult their client. So we have to really sit down and strategically think about that, and other ways of making money versus just, pushing out this content and pushing out all this information to this big net, hoping that we grab a fish. So we really have to hone in and be strategic about it.
That's awesome advice, Patrice. And to continue to build off of that, looking at the SWOT analogy, focusing, let's say, on the strengths. When you're looking for that target audience, the target demographic, look at, number one, I think you nailed it, with people that you want to work with, the ideal clients. That makes your life so much better, right? You don't
my
want to do those pain in the butt clients. I know you've had them. I've had them.
They like they will like you, you know, because you're passionate about what they do, and then they see that you're passionate about what you do. So it's like a marriage, you know. So it works. It works well.
If you find those strong relationships, develop them, you're going to produce a lot more, because those are the type of clients that will refer you other clients. Those are the type of clients that usually tend to buy more and value the relationship more, and they're not afraid to have to pay more because they know they're getting a good service, and they value, again, that relationship. So when you're doing that SWOT analysis, focus on where that is strong for you. Is it a certain vertical? Like, you happen to focus on entertainment. Maybe it's a certain role, right? I do better talking to marketing directors, or I do better talking to social media community managers.
Exactly.
So there's a lot of different ways to even dissect that.
Right.
But I think that's an amazing way to look at it. What else in terms of marketing? I know you mentioned budget being always a challenge, and small business owners, they want to do so much, and they have this vision for what they want to do with their business. But at the end of the day, it takes money to make money, and marketing is an investment, and we have to figure out how to make the right investment. So, what advice would you give to small business owners that maybe are struggling with that right now? How much budget do I allocate? Where do I get the budget from? What should I do with this? Give them some advice for me, Patrice.
I would say focus on marketing first. People like to invest in the product, invest in, books and all the materials to produce the product or the service, and that's fine. But you can have as many books and products and services as you want, but if no one knows about it, they're just going to be, sitting in your corner in your office collecting dust. So I always tell people to focus on putting some of that money into marketing first, even before you start launching your product or services. Start building the buzz, start building the momentum, so that way when you launch it, you really don't have much to do because you've already built hype around it. So in regards to budget, I mean, people get it. I just think they misallocate their funds. They have the money. They would rather buy, personal items, stuff that is just crazy, shoes and all this materialistic stuff. People have the money. And if it's something that they really want, they know about how to go get it. Even if you work full time, get a part-time job is not going to kill you, because you're actually reinvesting that into your business. So my thing is just people really have to get their priorities together and really think of it as an investment versus an expense, because you really have to market. You really have to market and promote your product. So I don't think it's a lack of money. I just think it's a misallocation. Like they don't allocate the right funds to it. Yeah.
You nailed it. And when people bring that up, product marketing, what should I focus on? I give them the example of the pet rock. Right, the pet rock. This was years ago. It's just a rock, a plain old rock in a box, packaged really nicely, but marketed extremely well.
Exactly.
And the marketing is what made that product big. The marketing was what made that company and that inventor tons of dough.
Right.
We look at a modern day example. We had this conversation on your Facebook page with Beats, Dr. Dre's Beats. Now a billionaire almost, or just about. I don't care. In my mind, he's already a billionaire.
Right.
but this product, if you go into the audiophile community, people that really know audio and are the connoisseurs of headphones, they'll tell you Beats is not the greatest product out there. It's overpriced. Sure, it looks nice, but where they really excel at is that they killed it with marketing. They had great partnerships on their marketing side. They built the brand of Beats really, really well. They made sure that they focus on the audience. That had a disposable income to spend $200-300 on a pair of headphones, and because they killed it with their marketing, they're now a billion-dollar corporation with a subpar product, really, in at least in the eyes of the headphone connoisseurs. So just another example of why marketing should always be the primary focus. Yes, you always want to have a good product, because I think the way I look at it is and I'll discuss an example with you. I want to get your feedback on it. But you could be successful by having really good marketing and a subpar product. But I feel like even the best marketing will not make up for a product that lacks, and that's really crappy. Because with social media, we know people will bet, they'll buy it, but eventually that success will fade away.
Right.
So you also have to focus a little bit on the product. So
right.
Apple is an example of this.
Yep.
What's your take on that? Kind of the product side and how that correlates with marketing, and how do you know where to focus?
Yeah, Apple does a great job, and when you mentioned Beats, I was thinking of Apple. They came right to mind. I mean, they have people lining all out the doors and going crazy over the phones, and people are losing lives over the phone. It's just insane because they built this brand, but again, they're not the best phone out there at times. Right now you got the S5, which I have, and I love it, and it has more features than an Apple. So I think Apple did a really great job at branding, and they focused on building, I don't want to say it's a cult, even though it seems like it, but they focused on the experience. They focused on having the store, and when you walk in, you have the Genius Bar and that whole ambiance of the store. They really focused on that. Samsung doesn't have a store. These other manufacturers, Motorola, they don't have a store. So they really focused on that, even though their product may not be the best. And people will argue with me on it. I think they're best when it comes to laptops and computers, but the iPhone, no. Even though that they're so they just have this big name and this whole reputation, and they still have a subpar product. It works for them, but as you can see, they have to constantly be innovative in their product in order to stay in the race. So you can come out with a crappy product in the beginning, and it do well because you invested in marketing, but over time there's going to be other people entering that industry to compete with you. So you really have to later on, then you have to start changing the strategy a little bit and really get innovative in the product, just so you can at least stay in the race. And we see that not only with Apple, we see that with personal brands as well. Look at Oprah. Over time, she had to constantly, be innovative in her brand. I mean, she went from talk show host to the network. So you really have to stay on top of it. Use marketing to build the platform, and build the platform in that base for your business and your brand. But over time, you still have to look in, the services and the products and that you're offering. So it's kind of, in the beginning, you should focus on marketing, but going along, you still have to keep that in mind and see what's going on around you within the industry, so that way you'll know how to position yourself going forward.
Yeah, I think they're very closely tied, because the way that you should be using marketing, when you are developing a product, is to really listen to what the audience is saying. What's their feedback? How are they reacting? Using different social media monitoring tools and PR monitoring tools to know, what's people's reaction to this product, and then making sure that the marketing team is then feeding that back to the product team and say, hey guys, we're listening, and people are really complaining about this feature, or they really wish this could do that. So communication marketing is tied into almost every aspect of a business.
Right.
And if used correctly, good marketing will make the product better.
I totally agree. Totally agree with you. And like you said, nowadays, the people will tell you. We live in a very vocal society right now, and especially with social media. If they like or dislike your product, they're going to go online and blab about it, And we see that with everything. Like a couple days ago, the whole Beyonce and Solange thing. It's in Jay-Z, crazy, but people will go online with the quickness and share their opinion and their viewpoints because it's safe. It's safe for them. You're not knocking on their door asking them to fill out a survey. All we need to do is just listen, and people will tell you. So I mean, it's just a matter of not having that tunnel vision, not having that tunnel vision. Really listen to the market.
Yeah, and something that when you mention Apple and the way that they built their marketing and they build that strong brand, I think about the approach that they've used, and one tactic or channel that they leverage really well is building Apple evangelists, right? Because they have a cult following.
Yeah.
They have a couple of key people. Steve Jobs, one of the greatest salespeople that ever lived. He wasn't really a great tech guy. That was the other dude that took care of that. Like he's just an awesome presenter, awesome visionary, and a salesman. And then they had Guy Kawasaki. Before he got into the enchantment and writing his books, he used to be an evangelist for Apple. So those influencers that Apple was able to get on board and then leverage their power to impact the greater population. So how are people or businesses able, how can they build evangelists? How can they build influencers to maybe become an ambassador for that product?
Building relationships, for one. Definitely connecting with those that are influencers. Connecting with those that could actually use your product. It wouldn't make sense for me to, even though I'm sure Oprah has everyone knocking on her door, it probably wouldn't make sense for me to knock on her door unless I wanted her to, consult or just to pick her brain for a few minutes or so. So it really makes sense to understand who has a voice within your industry and connect with them, because they really, all they need to do is just endorse it. But it has to be genuine, it really has to be genuine. Like Beats, they said when they first started, the first thing that they did was partner with those in the NBA, and that makes sense because they get off the buses and, they're going into games with the headphones on, just like shoes, so it made sense for them to, throw a couple of headphones to the NBA players because they know they're going to wear them and people will see it. So it's like you really have to get creative with those that would actually use your product, but also has a big audience themselves that will help you get a more, build that awareness. So, me, for example, I may want to partner with someone that's big in the music industry here, or partner with a big art connoisseur who has a big name. That would make sense, and then offer something to them that they may need help with. They may need someone to help brand them, or help open up a new spot, and they don't know how to position it within their their region. So it will make sense for me to work with them because it's a win-win situation, but yet they're helping me at the same time. Mm-hmm. So you really it goes back to knowing your market, really understanding who you are, what you do, and just finding those people that'll help you. The tunnel vision. I keep going back to that tunnel vision because people, they get locked in it.
They get locked into one method, and there's so many different ways to build a business, and a lot of owners are not exploring it either because they don't have the time, or they just don't know about it. And maybe they think it's a budget restriction for them. But tying this example into like small business, let's say you own a restaurant, for example. One of the things that you could do to build that influencer following is partner up with a local hotel. I know people visiting, are always asking for, hey, what's a cool restaurant to go eat tonight? Exactly. And if you treat that, let's say, as a small business owner, I invite that front desk person to my restaurant. Hey, I comp your meal. Eat free on me tonight.
Right.
And if you like, when you go, and if anyone's asking you about a good place to go eat, hey, here's a card. They can get a coupon or a discount if you refer them over to me.
Right.
And building that type of relationship because you're providing value up front, you're giving kind of a clear next step of what they could do to help, and if it's a good partnership, that will produce results, produce business in the long term. If you're a personal trainer, an example type of audience, what else are they kind of in the market for? So maybe a dietitian, right, or someone that's focusing on the nutrition plan. You go and partner with them. You refer them business. They refer you business. They're your influencer. You're their influencer.
Right.
So those are some simple ways that small businesses could even take advantage of that Apple evangelist effect.
Exactly. I know of a woman that makes cakes, makes beautiful cakes, like the cakes you see on TV, like real big and extravagant. She does this herself. And where those on TV, they have like a team doing
they have a whole team behind them, right?
She does this herself, and I'm thinking like, okay, yeah, it's good to do events, but I'm like, you need to work with like event planners, partner with event planners, wedding planners, big time. You know, the same thing with DJs. They need to connect with, you know, event planners, wedding planners, people that are constantly looking for, you know, people that could use their service, not directly but indirectly. So we really have to, you know, be open-minded when it comes to that, because that's a constant stream of income, you know, or revenue. You don't have to go out and advertise and put all these advertisements in the magazines and in local papers and whatnot. You actually have planners that does this, that, you know, do this for you, and it makes sense to partner with those type of people.
That's great, and I think that's a low-hanging fruit, because it's not, you know, it's not. I don't think it's too difficult finding the right people and starting to build a relationship, some dialogue. I think, you know, a lot of people are open to that. They're actually, you know, probably looking for the same thing that you're looking for, you know, to build their business. So I think that's a great place to start. What are some other low-hanging fruit or things that small business owners should focus, like prioritize, when they're building their marketing plan or strategy, or thinking about what to do in that area? What are some of the things that you identify as immediate things that they could take action on?
Offer some sort of sample. Offer a sample of the product or service. There's a lot of people say don't give it away for free, and, you know, can't pick my brain and all that other stuff, and that's true. But at the same time, you want to give people just a little dose of what they're getting when they work with you, because nowadays almost every market is saturated, you know. So for us, we have to do these chats, we have to do these, you know, hangouts, and we have to do videos and speak and network and get people to, you know, like us as people. So that's our freebie, as we say. Like the cake person, give out cake samples. You know, if you had an event, give out cake samples. DJs, invite people that you're vetting and that you want to work with, invite them to your next event. Or better yet, offer to do their event for free, one of their events for free, just so they can see, you know. But you have to be careful, because there's people that will come to you and say, hey, you know, I want you to do this for me for free because I want to check you out. And sometimes, and I got all this business, I'm going to send all this business to you. But really, they don't. You know, they don't. They're just trying to get free services one time. So you really have to be careful. I personally like when people allow me the opportunity to offer them a freebie versus them asking me for a freebie. Just simply because, you know, when they ask, that's telling me that either they can't afford it, they don't have the budget, or they're really not serious. But if they are, and I can see that they're really serious about working and putting in the work, so the plan that I may develop for them, you know, can really work for them, I may offer a trial period or offer to meet with them or something. I'm meeting with a prospect tomorrow. I don't have to attend her event. She didn't ask me, but I said, you know, I like talking to you. I want to meet you in person. And who knows what I may give to her tomorrow, you know? So you really have to be careful with the freebie, but yet still offer it. Keep it in mind that that's something, you know, that I can give someone just so they can get a sample.
Patrice, great advice. And I think in the beginning, especially a small business, like you're starting a business, you're going to have to give stuff away. You're going to have to give people samples. You're going to have to give them demos. Mm-hmm. Once you build your business to a certain point, then you don't need to. You don't need to give it out as often as you did before, because you've already built your reputation. You've already built your brand. People already know. They know your value before they do business with you. So you don't have to give them free stuff to get them on the hook. But in the beginning, and I'll give you a real example, like my public speaking. When I first started doing public speaking, I would take any event that came my way. You know, I would raise my hand. Okay, I want to speak. I want to do this. You know, and volunteer my services, and you know, offer to do it for free, because that helped me build my portfolio. I use those as case studies. I recorded those presentations, and after doing that for a year, I came to the point that now people were coming to me saying, "Hey, Jeff, I heard about you doing this. I heard about you doing that. Oh, okay. You know, how much?" People were asking me already, "How much do you charge?" So that's when you realize, okay, now I gotta start charging for my for my speaking engagements. And now I'm at the point that, you know, I only do paid speaking engagements unless it's for an event that I feel will produce viable leads from it, right? So, and one of the events that I did recently was going to New Orleans. I spoke for the American Marketing Association. Did it for free. They paid for, you know, obviously my expenses and travel, but did it for free, and actually got already a paid speaking engagement out of that free conference I gave them, that presentation I gave them. So, you know, as you become more developed in your business, you'll figure out which are the right opportunities to give freebies, which are not, when should you say no, which I think is also very important, and to turn things away and say, yeah, this is not a fit for us. So right. I think that comes with experience, right?
Exactly, and then it paid for itself too, pretty much, right? You know,
yeah.
Yeah, it paid for itself. So a lot of people, you got to think about that as well. It's okay to give it away for free, but you never know if you give away 200 samples for free, and there's samples. One of those people may come and hire you and pay for all those samples plus their service. Who knows? Yeah. You really don't know. So starting out, you really have to be strategic with it and give something of value to people just so they can get a little taste as to what you offer.
Yes, and good advice here, just to make sure that you're on the right track. And a lot of small business owners, I think they miss out completely on this part, is to measure it. Yes. Peter Drucker, you know, one of my famous business consultants, marketing management experts, says if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. So you don't know. You got to make sure you measure it so you know if it's working or not. So something that you could do is, let's say it's that cake lady, right? She records, okay, for every 100 samples I give, I get one cake out of that. I get one cake bought out of that.
Right.
And over time, she'll know her ratio. So she knows that for every 100 cakes that I give, I'm going to get at least one paid event from that. And then that way you know what you could invest in the future in doing those samples. And you have an idea of your ROI from doing those type of giveaways.
Right. So that, again, that goes back to all those roles that a business owner are dealing with, because that's a sales thing right there. That you gotta be sales, you gotta be marketing, and not only that, you gotta produce the product. So yeah, you gotta think in that mindset of the sales and really track and measure your freebies and even the services that you do. You really have to focus on those measurements and the analytics to know what's working and what's not working. So yeah, I totally agree.
And that's why, a small business owner, one of the main, especially if they're doing all those different things, one of the main advice I give them is, look, don't take all this on your own. Don't be afraid to bring someone on. Maybe it's part-time, maybe it's like a virtual assistant or a consultant like you, Patrice, that will guide them, that will help them, that you already have that experience. You're well-versed in marketing and social media. You know what they need to do so they don't make those mistakes that other business owners have made and that you've learned those lessons from. So how do you help? Give me some examples of how you specifically help small business owners. What can they hire you for, and how can you help them?
I pretty much help people to think more strategically in their whole process of the business side of things. I don't go in and consult on how they should, paint a picture or make a cake or, DJ. That's totally their craft. I got a cat here that's bothering me. He's good now. Okay. But no, what I come in is I help them think more entrepreneurial and really think about, okay, you have to have these certain pieces in place so that way you're not just running out in the street trying to make a few dollars. We have to look at your marketing. We have to look at your sales. We have to create a sales projection for you. Where do you want to be within 6 months? And be realistic. And then we're going to devise a plan on how to get you there in that 6 months, 1 year, 2 year span. So that's pretty much where I come in. I help people think strategically, set realistic goals, and we're gonna tackle them. Whether they need me to help devise the plan for them, I can do that. Or if they need someone to help them manage it, I can do that as well. So I prefer the management aspect of it, because a lot of people tell me that I'm a really good project manager, and that's another role that, someone told me. I wasn't even thinking, in the mindset of, being a project manager. But, a lot of people say, I love what you did. I love how You just stayed on top of things and made sure everything was done when it needed to be done, and I can just focus on my art. I can focus on this cake. I don't have to worry about, all this other stuff going on, and they appreciated that. So I kind of help from a different areas and different angles, but it all it lines up. It still goes back to, thinking strategically about how to get you to your goal.
Yep. A simple line that I picked up from one of my clients. He says, "Jeff, I like to do what I do best, and I outsource the rest."
There you go. There you go.
And if that, for a lot of businesses, that's all they want to do. They want to focus on their craft. Whether it's singing or painting or making cakes. That's what they love. They're not really too concerned about the business side of it. That could be handled on its own and be successful. They will do that. So don't be afraid. Small business. If you're watching this, don't be afraid to hire people to help you. Right. It's all right. It's gonna, trust me, it's a good investment. You're gonna probably pay out of pocket for now, but it will come back to you tenfold, 30-fold. You will see that return over the course of your business. Yeah. So Patrice, thank you so much. I learned quite a lot from our conversation. It's always a pleasure. Yes. Hanging out with you. I mean, you are a brilliant marketer, personal brander, speaker. You've been doing some fantastic things, and I think our next hangout, I don't know where you're going to be. You're probably going to be in Motown or in Times Square, doing some celebrity status type stuff.
Right, or I may be. Who knows? But I love what you're doing. I complimented you the other day. I'm like, Jeff is all over the place. So I keep it up. Anytime you need me, just let me know. I am here.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Thanks again, guys, for watching today. I hope you stay tuned. We got more Google Hangouts coming soon. Have a great day.